All right, today is the top 10 biggest fails, or in our case, some of the stuff that you just probably didn't even know about, or actually could perform this stuff better with. But you can learn from our mistakes on using the AI Hydras so you don't have to. All right, so starting with number one, Randy's done all the work for you.
Yeah, so the mistake is not watching the Hydra 32 and Hydra 64 Investigates, where it's more than a deep dive. It's the ins and outs, the spectrums, the par numbers, complete breakdown. Gets pretty geeky, but at the end it tells you exactly how to set them up.
Yeah, so if you want to know exactly all of the performance features, how it works in different environments and different setups, you want to know the spectrum, you want to know all of the nerdy stuff on the ends, like Randy's already done all the work for you. Number two, there's only one of these.
Yeah, the specific video we're talking about is Ryan's Hydra 64 5-minute breakdown. So if you just want a clear, concise, what was the mounting height, what is the right spectrum, get it in less than 5 minutes, Ryan did a guide.
Yeah, this is the only one. Now, like we just remembered this today. We meant to come back and condense all of the Investigates data that you did for every little one of these. Maybe we'll do that in 2021, I don't know. But for this one, you can actually watch in about 5 minutes, see all of Randy's data, all condensed into one very highly usable, easy to understand video. All right, so number three, if you want to mount these 3 inches off the tank or 30, wrong move.
Yeah, the mistake is not considering mounting height. These are specialized for the right tool for the right job at 12 inches and above. So the Hydra 64, 12 inch, the Hydra 32, 14 inch, but not considering those optimal mounting heights when you're planning out your addition of these to your reef tank is a mistake.
Yeah, so think about it as like a light as a cone coming out. So if you get the cone, you want it to fill up the tank or reflect off of the glass and back in the tank. If you go too high, the cone starts to spill over.
Yeah.
If you go too low, the cone starts to focus into a laser beam. So for us, we found that on a 24 by 24 inch area, 12 to 14 inches is the optimal range. And outside of that, you're gonna either get some spill or you're gonna get some hot spots. Number four, you can expand on these.
Yeah, so the mistake is overlooking the Reef Brite XHO add-on kits. They make them for the Hydra 64 specifically and the 32 specifically. It's a really easy way to just add some fill light to these lights because, as he said, spotlight if it's too close, but it also adds some of that peak blue spectrum and make the corals pop.
Yeah, so just think about it. If you want to get some added fill in there, you want to reduce some shadows, those are a great tool. Number five, horsepower isn't always king.
Yeah, so don't make the mistake of using one or two or considering one or two Hydra 64s when splitting them up into 4 Hydra 32s is probably a better option.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's 4 pucks on there, or you could go with two pucks, which allows you to spread the light out, get some more intersecting lines, and eliminate shadows. So I'll just say it, the Hydra 32 is a more popular light than the 64, and it's not that you're necessarily going to save a ton of money because you'll end up buying about the same amount of total pucks, but you'll get better performance out of spreading the lights out over a larger area. Number 6, OCD alert.
Yeah, so I always thought that spacing your lights directly evenly over your tank was the best way to go. And our Investigates testing found that there's actually more optimal ways to spread them out, and it's further apart than you thought.
Yeah, so if you only had one light, you want to put it in the center so it would get even distribution over that area you're trying to illuminate. If you have 2 lights, however, when those cones intersect in the center, it creates a hot spot. Right, and also a dark spot on the sides. So we found out if you actually move the lights away from each other, you can start to create more even spread. So all that data is actually in Randy's Investigate. So check it out because even might look good on top of the tank in terms of OCD, but spreading them out does better performance. Number 7, you spent a fortune on lights, don't just wing it.
Yeah, don't not use a par meter when you're setting it up, like unless you had the exact same scenarios that I was testing in, and even then it can be different because of aquascape and different things like that. Use a par meter to dial these in for your tank goals. Your corals will thank you for it.
But wait, I could guess it and just get it right. Well, you could, that's true.
Yeah.
But you don't really want to, man. You want to, get the right tool for the right job, use it the right way, and the way that you use it the right way is optimizing to a range, not just flipping switches and hoping for the best. Number 8, I don't want to flip all those switches all together. I want to move everything up and down together. How do I do it?
Yeah, don't overlook or make the mistake of missing the 2-finger pinch method to control the intensity. So I I give you a spectrum range that we would use, the BRS recommended spectrum for each of these lights, which means, you know, your UVs are set here, your blues are set here, whites, and so have you. But if you find that that's just too intense at the settings that I said, go to your main display, put 2 fingers on the screen, scroll it down, scroll it up, single one adjustment.
Number 9, this isn't your cool ride.
Yeah, so we kind of hinted at this one, but it's a mistake to just flip the switches on these. So what looks good to my eye is not necessarily the best for the corals. We do give some recommendations, like I said, on what we would use with the spectrum and the spectrometer that we shot. But don't just go in there blindly.
All right, if you've been doing this for a decade and you have a really good idea, so be it. You know, you can flip some switches probably with a decent amount of ability to guess.
Yeah.
But for a vast majority of reefers, if your goal is to guess and have the pride in the fact that you could guess well, then do that. If your goal is actually to create a really high success path to growing corals where you know, I got this lighting thing covered, lighting will never be the issue that I don't have success, well, then rent the par meter, don't flip all the switches, watch Randy's investigates. You can get an actual setting, a ratio of all the different LEDs together, and then you can use a par meter and the 2 little switch finger method to adjust it to the right par range. All right, number 10, what if I use the Aquatic Life T5 Hybrid or something else like it?
Yeah, the mistake is not considering the optimal mounting height for that hybrid versus the optimal mounting height for these. They're pretty far apart from each other, like 8 inches versus the 12 and the 14 inches. So which mounting height do you actually choose? And we probably recommend splitting the difference.
Yeah, split the difference, go for 10. You can also consider using the shorter mounting plates on the end of the hybrid, which will allow you to lift it up a little higher. So in that case, either get the extra mounting plates or split the difference and mount it about 10 inches. All right, I got 4 pucks. Which way do they go?
Yeah, the mistake is not understanding or recognizing when the right time is to mount this rectangular light parallel to the tank or perpendicular to the tank, and they can have different effects.
Yeah, so if you really want to light it evenly front to back, obviously you're going to turn the whole light and face it front to back so you get as much light in that range as possible. However, you know, if I have like an LPS tank and it really doesn't matter and I only got 2 of these things and spread over a really large area, well, I can just mount them a little higher and then put them parallel to the front of the tank. But if you really want to get the best coverage, you can turn them you know, front to back and then use more of them. Number 12, how do you mount them?
Yeah, there's a lot of mounting options, and that's one thing that we really like about the Hydras. They are made for that 12 to 14 inch mounting height, so they understand that they're supposed to be mounted like that. But there's one option that I would consider a mistake to use if you have more than one Hydra, and that's the flexible arm, just because it's so difficult to get it to look nice with multiple lights.
Yeah, you really got to bend it like perfectly, otherwise they just don't match. So I don't know, I'd consider other options, but if you got just one, the bendable arm works well. All right, so if you only heard one thing today, let it be this.
Yeah, for me, it's putting the thumb on Ryan and making more of these 5-minute guide videos. 20 minutes and 30 minutes worth of data is really interesting to watch for a lot of people, but if you just want the drilled down version, do the 5-minute guide.
And for me, it's we kind of hit on this, kind of didn't, but the like the 32 here is super popular in the Aquatic Light fixture. So you get the primary source of light, you get the shimmer, you get all of that cool like high definition type look to the tank. And then the fill light from the ATIs, this is like that SPS kind of dream light. So then now we know, mounted at about 10 inches, split the difference between the two. So that's the one thing I'd say. So if you want to go see Randy's full data, I would say it's right here. If you want to see all of it compacted into just 5 minutes, right here. And if you want to just go check out the Hydras over on our website, check them out here.